Shalom, shalom, everybody. Welcome to Torahs for Everyone. This week we're going to be looking at Vayera, which is a story about, we read about the angels who come and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, the story of Lot. It's filled with information, filled with beautiful pictures. So without further ado, let me share the screen and start reading. As you know, we Safaria, I'm going to zoom in, make it bigger so that you can see. Okay,
More Zoom.
there we go.
Okay.
Okay, it's good. Put you on mute, all right? Because you always have people coming into the room this way. It'll be nice and quiet. Okay, Jerry, would you like to start reading?
Hashem appeared to him by the terebinths of Mamre. He was sitting in the entrance of the tent as the day grew hot.
Now remember what the terebinths were. These were places where where a lot of occult practices, pagan practices were done by these terebinth trees. And this is the third time I think we've read it in this book so far, these terebinths. And I think what God is showing us is that he's not afraid of anything or anyone. He's taking the things that our people had done before in a pagan way, and he's redirecting our vision to look toward him instead. So here God appeared Vayera to him. And it was hot. He was sitting outside, and remember, he had just been circumcised. So he was resting. Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch. Where were the terebinths again, Peggy?
The terebinths were in the area where they were. The terebinths were places that were known in the pagan world that they used to do. There's many of the occult practices at these terebinth trees.
Looking up, he saw three figures standing near him.
The word for figures is anashim, which is men. He saw three men.
Perceiving this, he ran from the entrance of the tent to greet them, and bowing to the ground, he said, "My lords, if it please you, do not go on past your servant."
And I noticed that yes, Jer?
No, you were saying, go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed that wherever you see, very often my lords or Lord is translated. You see, it says Va'omer Adonai. Adonai is a name that we use to call on the name of God, but it's also has to do with a term of reverence. Like, in England, they have what's called the House of Lords. So people who are these kind of leaders or people in a position of honor would be called Adonai or Adonim.
Let a little water be brought, bathe your feet, and recline under the tree. And let me fetch a morsel of bread that you may refresh yourselves. Then go on, seeing that you have come your servant's way. They replied, "Do as you have said." Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarah and said, "Quick, 3 seahs of choice flour, knead and make cakes." Then Abraham ran to the herd, took a calf, tender and choice, and gave it to a servant boy who hastened to prepare it. He took curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set these before them, and he waited on them under the tree as they ate.
You see the heart of Abraham, how hospitable he was, how he cared so much about visitors, even when he was in pain from the circumcision. He forgets about himself. He always puts other people first. And here there's something interesting. He takes curds, milk, meat. and brings it to these messengers, these angels, these men, whoever they were. And so, even though they say you're not supposed to eat milk and meat today, it doesn't say that in the Torah. Here it says he took milk and meat. And this was a precedence that was being set up. So we wonder over the years how that got changed. Later on, we're going to see there's one line that says you are not to boil a kid in its mother's milk, and there are different ways of looking at that. It's an idiomatic expression. It's also a way of it was a pagan a pagan practice to do that, but we won't go into that today because I've explained it before in the past.
They said to him, "Where is your wife Sarah?" And he replied, "There, in the tent." Then one said, "I will return to you next year, and your wife Sarah shall have a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in years. Sarah had stopped having her periods. And Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "Now that I've lost the ability, am I to have enjoyment with my husband so old?" Then Hashem said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, 'Shall I in truth bear a child, old as I am?' Is anything too wondrous for the Lord? I will return to you at the same season next year, and Sarah shall have a son." Sarah lied, saying, "I did not laugh," for she was frightened. Came the reply, "You did laugh."
It's interesting. You would wonder why they would put every word in the Torah has some meaning. Why would they put something as simple as that? Sarah lied, saying, "I didn't laugh," because she was frightened. And then a reply came. We don't know who said it, one of the men. "You did laugh." You see, when we're caught in a lie, there's shame. And we see this right from the very beginning. Adam and Eve were caught in a lie. When God said to them, "How did you know you were naked? Did you eat from the tree?" And what did Adam do? He didn't say, "Oh my God, sorry." What he did was he lied too. And he blamed it on Eve. She blamed it on the snake. These things are things we as humans, we struggle with. Times when I can remember times that I caught myself in a lie because I was afraid. And here, but someone, what's the word? They challenged her. Here, you did laugh. Those who are close enough to us, who see us, who catch us in something that we do, need to be able to tell us the truth. That's how you know a true friend.
The agents set out from there and looked down towards Sodom, Abraham walking with them to see them off. Now the Lord had said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Since Abraham is to become a great and populous nation, and all the nations of the earth are so blessed themselves by him."
Are to bless themselves by him.
I wonder why it's worded like that. Shall I hide from Abraham what I am I about to do?
What do you think?
Well, I don't know what it's supposed to mean. Is he thinking Abraham's not ready to receive this? Like I'm not sure what's going on.
Well, you have to take it in context because Abraham is going to become a man of a lot of influence over a lot of people, the father of many nations. And this, remember, he's not saying this for himself, he's saying it for us. And it says Abraham is going to become a great and multitudes will come from him, not only through Sarah, but also from Hagar. and all the nations of the earth are to bless themselves by him. For I have singled him out, that he may instruct his children and his posterity to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is just and right, in order that the Lord may bring about for Abraham what has been promised him. So this whole thing is really an important thing to remember. God singled him out so that he will instruct his children and those in that and their descendants to do what is right and just. So it's like Abraham is going to have some big shoes to step into, and he can't protect him. He's got to let him know exactly what's going to happen. This is how I see it anyway. You have another opinion, Miriam?
Yeah, I think it's also it's not a literal thing, shall I hide from Abraham. I guess he wants to show the magnitude of what he's going to be doing and his place in history. Like, it's so huge. He's like the
Yes,
father of all nations. I mean, all nations, including the Arabs, I mean, basically the whole world in a sense, almost. Well, certainly, I mean, yes, we're the called out nation, but it's huge what he's being, you know,
exactly. Because from Hagar, we're going to read a little later on, if not in the end of this one. He's going to be the father of 12 nations, also 12 tribes.
yeah.
Hagar. So 12 tribes from Abraham and Sarah, and 12 tribes from Hagar. So it's really, it's huge. And are they included in all the nations of the earth were to bless themselves? Is it only by, it doesn't say only by Sarah, but by him?
Maybe with all, despite all the war and the, animosity between the Arabs and the Jewish people, there were ways in which they were blessed. If you want to look at it,
Yeah, and there's some who still get along. If you take a look in the Middle East today.
well, when I was in Israel,
Yeah.
there was much less static, so to speak, between the Arabs and the Jewish people. It was like, well, I mean, I just saw what I saw in the little time I was there, but I was kind of surprised that, it didn't seem, it's more apparent when you're out of the country. You look at another country and it's not the same as being there.
Yeah.
I mean, so
And not all the Arabs are Muslim.
that's right.
And
No,
not
they're
all
not.
the Arabs are terrorists.
No.
And you have people like, you look at the Saudis, you look at Jordan, they've made pacts with Israel, and they're not all fighting them every day. So,
Yeah,
and we are brothers.
yeah, yeah. And I keep not finding, there's a place somewhere in the Haftorah that talks about how God says at one point that you are not I don't remember how it's worded, the only chosen ones. And he talks about, I think it was Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. He talks about, I mean, so they are, they are blessed, and God promised them 12 tribes, 12, just like we were, but so there's something unfolding that even
Yeah,
we
but
don't fully know.
Egypt is not part of the 12 tribes. Egypt is separate. Egypt, they're
No,
not Arabs.
no, aren't they they're not from Ishmael?
No, Egypt was already there.
Oh, that's
Abram
true.
went down to Egypt.
Oh, no, that's true.
No,
So the 12 tribes are mainly like Syria, Iraq, people descended from
no, that's
those.
modern. That's modern. The
No,
12.
but whatever the old names were.
Well, yet you'd have to look at the, yeah,
Yeah,
those countries were created almost by England and France.
right.
Those territories. They have nothing to do with the biblical names. As a matter of fact, they cause more problems than if we would just go back. But these peoples were tribes. They weren't were different. I don't know all the history, but it's not the same. All right, let's continue. Jerry, you want to continue?
Then the Lord said, the outrage of Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin is so grave, I will go down to see whether they have acted altogether according to the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will take note.
Interesting how he's speaking. It's almost like he's a real human being, but he's not, because I will go down to see. We saw that with the Tower of Babel. I will go down to see what they're doing. You know,
Right.
it's interesting. Yeah.
The agents went on from there to Sodom, while Abraham remained standing near the Lord. Abraham came forward and said, will you sweep away the innocent along with the guilty? What if there should be 50 innocent within the city? Will you then wipe out the place and not forgive it for the sake of the innocent 50 who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to bring death upon the innocent as well as the guilty, so that innocent and guilty fare alike. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth deal justly?
In many ways, he's speaking just like Moses would later. You know, he's like speaking to a friend.
And the Lord answered, if I find within the city of Sodom 50 innocent ones, I will forgive the whole place for their sake. Abraham spoke up, saying, here I venture to speak to my Lord, I who am but dust and ashes. What if the 50 innocent should lack 5? Will you destroy the whole city for the want of 5? I will not destroy if I find 45 there. But he spoke up again and said, what if 40 should be found there? I will not do it for the sake of the 40. And he said, let not my Lord be angry if I go on. What if 30 should be found there? I will not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, I venture again to speak to my Lord. What if 20 shall be found there? I will not destroy for the sake of the 20.
We should never be afraid to negotiate. If Abraham wasn't afraid to negotiate at this level, look at the patience God has. Unbelievable.
And he said, let not my Lord be angry if I speak but this last time. What if 10 should be found there? I will not destroy for the sake of the 10. Having finished speaking to Abraham, the Lord departed, and Abraham returned to his place.
He's probably feeling very good now. He's saved this nation. Not a problem. It's in the bag. He's going to find out a
But
little.
what if 9 were? What if 9 were?
Well, I guess he figured that if 10, this is maybe he's setting up the president of the Minion. Who knows? You, Miriam, want to continue?
Okay. The 2 messengers arrived in Sodom in the evening as Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to greet them, and bowing low with his face to the ground, he said,
It's interesting because it says here, the men before, the ones who visited him, were called Anashim. Here it says Melachem. It's like they're angels. So
okay.
you don't know who they are. Okay.
With his face to the ground, okay. He said,
Lot saw them and he ran to greet him. Okay.
bowing low with his face to the ground. Okay, he said, please, my lord, turn aside to your servant's house to spend the night and bathe your feet. Then you may be on your way early. But they said, no, we will spend the night in the square. But he urged them strongly, so they turned his way and entered his house. He prepared a feast for them and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Unleavened bread, and they
Yeah,
ate.
it's interesting, eh? Because
Yeah.
there was no Pesach yet. Oh, no, there was no Pesach yet. And here, but
I
Pesach
wonder,
from the beginning.
maybe, who knows?
Maybe it was just, does it say unleavened bread? Where is it? Lechem? Me? Where does it say unleavened bread? What is this word?
Mish test.
Where is it? Sorry. Da, 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 da. So they turn and prepare, bake unleavened. Lechem. what's the word?
Mishta,
Oh, that's a feast.
Mishta,
Oseh.
Metziot.
Umatzot. Yeah.
Matzot, yeah, right.
Yeah. So maybe it was something that was very well known in those days. And then God even took that and gave it a special
It could have
place.
been, yeah.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. They had not yet lain down when the town council and the militia of Sodom, insignificant and influential alike, the whole assembly without exception, gathered about the house.
Imagine that all these people, it was like a huge crowd of people that had gathered outside the house. No, you see, he must have known what the people were like. Lot knew what they were like.
Yeah, yeah. And they shouted to Lot and said to him, "Where are the ones who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us that we may be intimate with them."
And this is literally the word intimate is to know them in a way that a man knows his wife.
Wow. So Lot went out to them to the entrance, shut the door behind him, and said, "I beg you, my friends, do not commit such a wrong. Look, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you please. This is horrendous. But do not do anything to the others, since they have come under the shelter of my roof." Even though I know what the argument is, and Rabbi made it, but I never found that. To me, there are some things that transcend even history. There's no way that that wasn't evil.
Well, you could
But
see the level of depravity he had fallen into. When we live in a city, we don't realize that we slowly start to allow the societal norms to come into us. That's why it's so important for us. Remember what Yeshua said, you're in the world, you're not of it. We have to live in the city, but we have to protect ourselves. But the only thing that Lot ever saw, when he chose Sodom and when he chose that whole area, he was choosing with his eyes, not with his heart. He wasn't like Abraham.
no,
He was choosing the ways of man instead of the ways of God.
yeah.
And
So Miriam, I fully agree with you. I want to ask you a question. This has been on my mind for a while because going with a woman is a natural, and going with a man, there's a law that says you shall not lie with a man as you would with a woman. So I don't know if you can explain that in all those contexts, but I agree with you that. But I can't wrap my thoughts around this how they could do that. But neither it's replacing necessarily something for another, which anyhow. If you have a comment on that, anyone?
Well, I'm not sure what you have. I mean, the whole premise that he's going to give his 2 daughters. Just to me, there's something so evil about that.
I don't think that's what Jerry's asking.
No, I know. I'm trying to get to the understanding. Yeah, I'm trying to lead up to something, but I also am not sure what you're at. What's the question, Jerry?
Jerry, are you
Well,
asking about homosexuality?
no. It's written somewhere. There's a law somewhere, a specific commandment that says you shall not lie with a man shall not lie with a man as a man would lie with a woman. There's a commandment exactly like that.
That's in Leviticus, exactly.
Okay, so I'm not sure what it is. So what he's doing, what he did was not exactly a commandment against that. A man lying with a woman is more natural than a man lying with a man. But we're not accepting any of those, Miriam. We agree with you. I just wanted a comment on that. I couldn't wrap my thoughts about that for a long while. So I agree with you, Miriam. But anyhow.
Okay, I guess I'm not clear on what you're asking me. Obviously, they wanted to, get intimate with the men, and he was saying, no, I'll give you my daughters, which I guess is, you're right, it's in a way, it's less of a, it's not an evil, it's more natural for than homosexuality. I mean, but the point is, Abraham, a more righteous man. Lot from the beginning was already going his own way. You're just seeing the full blown nature of what he's doing now. But as you said, Peggy, he already chose the way. You know, he was always kind of
I know
self.
he's saying this is a lesser evil for a greater evil. Look, we're not going to dispute with the Torah, but I don't think in today that you would consider making a trade like that. You know.
No, but
We would,
I'm just
but
saying
we
it
may,
is.
we don't, sorry, go ahead, Miriam.
No, I'm just saying, to me, it's an evil, and it just continues to show that he was totally, in a way, assimilated with a society that was totally anti-God. Could you imagine, I don't know, Jacob or whatever offering his daughters? I don't think, it's just, to me, it's just horrific. But when I
Well,
first saw that, it's just horrific.
remember,
Well,
at the time of the Torah, women had no value. Women were lower than even the animals and the children. So, and there are many, even pagan rites, where daughters, virgin daughters, were given to the gods. So it was part of the pagan rituals that he was used to. But we have other rituals today that we do. We wouldn't, and to us, they've become normal. Taking a baby who lives inside of a woman who is full of life, who has all its cells and all is developing, and we give it, we offer it to the god of convenience, is not much different than what we see here. We may think, oh, that was so horrible. But let me tell you, some of the things we do in our societies today are horrible. When we allow a young kid in school who's like 12 or 13 who decide, or even at the age of 7, who decide, you know what, I want a girl, I want to be a man, and we allow them to go on all these drugs and start to transition. That is as evil as what we see here.
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt.
So, we can't be so smug and say, oh, we would never do that. Yeah, well, we do. We do other things.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just saying that even in any context, Lot was not a righteous man. He
No,
wasn't following
far
God.
from.
So
He wasn't righteous. The only reason he was saved was because of Abraham.
yeah,
but what options did he have, Peggy? I mean, so he offered his daughter.
He
So
had
it's like
none. He had no options. That's why the angels took over, because the men said very clearly what they wanted. They weren't. He probably knew anyway. They weren't interested in his daughters. They were sodomites. He knew the nature of the people.
okay, so
That's why he told them, don't stay in the square. Come to my home.
okay, that's a very enlightening thing that you said. It's called Sodom and Gomorrah, and as you said, it came down with the sodomy came down to mean that. I'm not sure if that's what it meant at that time.
Yes.
So they were interested in one thing. So it's possible that he knew that wouldn't happen anyhow.
Yeah, it's possible. But then we know in the scriptures that people have said things like Jephthah, who made an oath, if I win, the first thing that comes out of my house, I will offer to God. I will offer. Sometimes we say things that,
Right.
and
There's something I remember. There's something about that. The first thing comes. I forget what that was, Peggy.
about Jephthah.
Right. I forgot that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Miriam.
okay. But they said, stand back. The fellow, they said, came here as an alien, and already he acts the ruler. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. And they passed hard against that householder.
They pressed hard.
Pressed hard against that householder, against Lot, and moved forward to break the door. But the agents, I guess the angels or the agents who were there,
Anashim, it's the men.
yeah, right, stretched out their hands and pulled Lot into the house with them and shut the door. And the people who were at the entrance of the house, low and high alike, they struck with blinding light so that they were helpless to find the entrance.
Wow.
Then the agents said to Lot, "Whom else have you here? Sons-in-law, your sons and daughters, or anyone else that you have in the city, bring them out of the place. For we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against them before Hashem has become so great that Hashem has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who had married his daughters, and said, "Up, get out of this place, for Hashem is about to destroy the city." But he seemed to his sons-in-law as one who jests.
Obviously, they had no respect for him.
Right, right. As dawn broke, the messengers urged Lot on, saying, "Up, take your wife and your 2 remaining daughters, lest you be swept away because of the iniquity of the cities." Did his sons come? I wonder. Is here?
No, none of them came. These were the 2 virgin
So-
daughters. These were the
right.
young.
So only them. So everyone else got, even in his own household, got destroyed.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And look
Still,
what it says here. Still, he delayed. When God told Abram, get up, he got up. He took everybody. Here, he delayed and nobody wanted to come with him. You see how opposite it is.
right. Still he delayed. So the agents seized his hand and the hands of his wife and his 2 daughters in Hashem's mercy on them, and brought him out and left him outside the city. When they had brought them outside, one said, "Flee for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the hills, lest you be swept away." But Lot said to them, "Oh no, my lord. You have been so gracious to your servant, and have already shown me so much kindness in order to save my life. But I cannot flee to the hills, lest the disaster overtake me and I die. Look, that town there is near enough to flee to. It is such a little place. Let me flee there. It is such a little place, and let my life be saved." He replied, "Very well, I will grant you this favor too, and I will not annihilate the town of which you have spoken. Hurry, flee there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there." Hence the town came to be called Zoar. You know what that means? Okay. Anyway, I think you missed.
Connected with Misar, a
Oh,
little place.
okay. Okay. As the sun rose upon the earth and Lot entered Zoar, Hashem rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah sulfurous fire from Hashem out of heaven, annihilating those cities and the entire plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and the vegetation of the ground. When I was in that area, when I was in Israel, they were saying that you could see what looked like burnt areas in a lot of the areas, and they were saying that was Saddam, and you could still see, I mean, some evidence of that destruction.
Yes, the salt and the sulfur, nothing can grow there anymore.
Right,
The
it's
whole place,
amazing.
exactly, completely destroyed. This is a living proof of God's existence.
Right. Okay, the city, Lot's wife looked back, and she thereupon turned into a pillar of salt.
She got, when you turn back, she wasn't being punished for turning back, but if you stop to look back, she probably got caught up in the whole thing and all that, with the smoke and the fire and everything. And she turned into a pillar of salt herself.
Yeah. She didn't trust at all, I guess.
No.
Yeah. Okay, next morning, Abraham hurried to the place where he had stood before Hashem, and looking down towards Sodom and Gomorrah and all the land of the plain, he saw the smoke of the land rising like the smoke of a kiln.
So at this point, he knew that God had not found even 10 righteous men.
Wow.
I always pray, let there be 10 righteous people in the city which we live in, so that God will not completely destroy it. But little by little, with everything that I'm reading and seeing about the people, we're slowly moving into such depravity. Do you know, I just read today that Quebec is the capital of euthanasia in the whole world.
Are you serious?
What I read,
Quebec.
Quebec,
Wow.
euthanasia, which to
Wow.
me is a very sad thing. We're slowly declining, degrading. And
Wow. Thus it was that when God destroyed the cities of the plain and annihilated the cities where Lot dwelt, God was mindful of Abraham and removed Lot from the midst of the upheaval. It's only because of Abraham.
exactly.
Lot went, what?
Even Lot was not righteous.
Right. Lot went up from Zoar and settled in the hill country with his 2 daughters, for he was afraid to dwell in Zoar, and he and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. And the older one said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to consort with in the way of all the world."
It's funny that they would say that because they just lived in Zoar.
Well,
They,
then they see it destroyed. Oh, Zoar.
no, Zoar was
No,
not
okay,
destroyed.
no, right. It
He
wasn't.
was afraid to live there, so he went to live in a cave, but Zoar
Right.
was not destroyed. So why they would say that, I don't know.
Come, let us make, maybe they meant in their group of people, maybe they knew that they were a tribe different from other people's. I don't know.
They
Come,
They weren't. They were part of Sodom. They were born there. Lot didn't have them when he left. He wasn't married yet. He married a wife of Sodom. They were
okay,
completely immersed in the ways of
okay.
culture.
Come, let us make our father drink wine, and let us lie with him, that we may maintain life through our father. That night they made their father drink wine, and the older one went in and lay with her father. He did not know when she lay down or when she rose. The next day the older one said to the younger, "See, I lay with father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight also, and you go and lie with him, that we may maintain life through our father." That night also they made their father drink wine, and the younger one went and lay with him. He did not know when she lay down or when she rose. Thus the 2 daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father. The older one bore a son named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. And the younger also bore a son, and she called him Ben Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites of today.
Okay, so I want to ask you something. So here, Lot didn't know anything. It says he did not know when she lay down or when she rose.
Right.
He did not know anything that went on. The 2 girls decided to do that on their own. What is different here between this story and a story we're going to read later? Remember the story of Judah. Judah gave his first son to marry Tamar. The first son died. The second son died. He was supposed to give her Shelah. The third son, he would not. He was afraid he would lose her. So Tamar, at one point, waiting and waiting and waiting, got dressed up as a prostitute, went to sleep with her father-in-law, and they had a son. They had twins, Peretz and Zerach. Perez and Zerach. And Judah ended up saying to Tamar, when she finally revealed who she was, "She is more righteous than me," because she wanted to keep his line going. Here, the 2 girls wanted to keep the line of Lot going. What's the difference? Is there a difference?
Well,
There is.
There's a
Sorry, go ahead.
difference that the father and the father-in-law is a little different, I think.
Okay.
I don't think they did it, when he did it, what's the, Judah, when he slept with the prostitute, when that whole thing happened, wait a minute,
didn't
what was,
know.
not his no, when his, what was his daughter dressed as a prostitute, right?
Daughter-in-law.
Your daughter-in-law dressed as a, right.
Yeah, so he didn't know
Your
who she
motive
was.
but this one, they don't seem to have any, they're so assimilated, there doesn't seem to be God's purpose in this.
They were all assimilated. She was a Canaanite.
Yeah, but she'd married into Israel.
She
Look
was
at-
his wife was a Canaanite. Judah left. He was so upset with what had happened with his brothers selling Joseph. He left and he went to Canaan. He married a Canaanite.
Yeah,
They were also living in paganism. The interesting thing is, if you read later in the Torah, when all these things, just like you shall not lie a man shall not lie with a man, the same things. God starts to deal with all these things. You shall not lie with your father. You shall not lie with your uncle. You shall not. All these codices are set down later. But
but why here?
both cases, in both cases, here, the older one bore a son and named him Moab. We know the Moabites became enemies of Israel. We know the Ammonites became enemies of Israel. But through Moab, we come down through history and we see Ruth. Ruth who was a Moabite, joined Naomi when she went home and clung to her, clung to the God of Israel. Perez did the same thing. Perez is in the line of the line of King David, and so was Ruth in the line of his descendant was King David. From both of these relationships, both of these incestuous, you can say they're incestuous relationships. It just shows us we have to stand back and always look at the bigger picture. For me, this is how I see it now. Both of
Okay.
these situations, look in our lives, how many mistakes we make, how many things we do wrong. And yet, when we turn our lives around and we follow the God of Israel, He makes things right. He puts them right, and we get to start again. That's the beauty of these stories for me.
So, but in comparing the two of them, that's what you come up, right? You're not saying one was better than the other.
No,
Like, yeah,
both equally wrong, but God took what was wrong and turned it right.
right. Well, but he even called, didn't he call her righteous, Tamara righteous because of what she did?
Exactly. Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
More righteous than me, but he wasn't righteous.
Yeah, that's true.
So, it's like Noah was righteous at that time. Who knows what he was like?
Although I do think, I don't know. I always have this idea that beyond history, it might be cruder, your life might be cruder, might be a lot of things that are different, but I do think Noah was very different from the surrounding peoples. He said he was the only one righteous in the whole world that he could find, really.
At
His
that time. But look at his son. And they say the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. Look what Ham did to his father. We live, he was righteous in his day. He was better than the others, but it doesn't mean he was the best.
no, but he did have a relationship with God.
Yes, he did.
So it's not the same, like that movie that you liked, but I hated it anyway. I didn't find he got the essence. To me, you can make it, I don't know, to me, righteous, whatever your lifestyle, even if it's cruder and there are different things, he had a relationship with God.
Well, he had more of a willingness. God knew his heart and spoke to him, and he obeyed. It doesn't mean he was always perfect or he was always
No, but even look at King David. I mean, this is the same thing
Exactly. That's
throughout
what I'm
history.
saying. I'm not arguing with you.
No. I guess what I'm saying is there's relative, during that time, yes, but there's something that's beyond all that to me that's similar in all uses the word righteous. God doesn't use righteous for a term for somebody who's just does good things, which is nice, but has no, like somebody who has absolutely no relationship with God at all.
Right.
I mean, the King David had a man killed, etc. I mean, you see that right up to, Moses killed a man. I mean, it's the principle.
Yeah, religions make us strive for perfection, but the Torah everywhere is saying there is no perfection in humanity. And
No,
once we accept that, and once we accept the shame of some of the things that we do, just like it said before, Sarah lied because she was afraid. It's
yeah,
we do,
yeah,
we do.
yeah. No, I totally
And
agree.
once we accept that, it's like there's this release as a freedom because when you're so religious, you're constantly striving to be perfect, and then you're killing yourself when you're not.
Right,
It's
right,
just, we have to give ourselves a break because God is going to take the things that we do and make them right if we are willing to follow Him.
exactly.
Like that spiral.
Yeah,
So Abraham journeyed from there to the region of the Negev. I love it. The Negev is still there.
yeah,
And settled between Kadesh and Shur. While he was sojourning in Gerar, Abraham said of his wife, of Sarah's wife, "She is my sister." This is the second time. First time he did it when he was Abram, and they went down to Egypt with Pharaoh. Here again, she is my sister. So King Abimelech of Gerar had Sarah brought to him. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, you're going to die because the woman you've taken is a married woman. Now Abimelech had not approached her. He said, "Oh Lord, will you slay people even though innocent?" He himself said to me, "She's my sister." And she also said, "He is my brother." When I did this, my heart was blameless and my hands were clean. And God said to him in the dream, "I knew that you did this with a blameless heart, so I kept you from sinning against me. That was why I did not let you touch her. So restore the man's wife, since he is a prophet, and he will intercede for you. He will save your life. But if you fail to restore her, know that you will die, you and all who are yours." Early in the morning, Abimelech called his servants and told them everything that happened, and they were really frightened. Then Abimelech summoned Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? What wrong have I done that you should bring so great a guilt upon me and my kingdom? You have done to me things that you should not have done." "What then," Abimelech demanded of Abraham, "was your reason, was your purpose in doing this thing?" "Well, I thought that surely there's no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. And besides, in truth, she's my sister, my father's daughter, but not my mother's daughter. And she became my wife. So when God made me wander from my father's house, I said to her, 'Let this be the kindness that you shall do to me. You shall do me. Whatever place we come to, say there of me, he is my brother.'" So we see even here, later on, a sister will not be able to lie with these people. So this is part of the culture, but this will be changed throughout the Torah later on. So Abimelech took sheep and oxen and male and female slaves and gave them to Abraham, and he restored his wife Sarah to him. And Abimelech said, "Here, my land is before you. Settle wherever you please." And to Sarah he said, "I herewith give your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. This will serve you as vindication before all who are with you, and you are cleared before everyone." Abraham then prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and his slave girls so that they bore children, for the Lord had closed fast every womb of the household of Abimelech because of Sarah, the wife of Abraham. Isn't that unbelievable?
Wait a minute. I don't want, could you just go back? It says Abraham then prayed to God and God healed him and his wife and his slave girls so they bore children. But here, so Abraham,
Because God had closed every womb.
had closed.
Yes.
So, yeah, so he's blessing them.
Abraham prayed. He said, God said, here, where is it here? When God's speaking to Abimelech, he will intercede for you to save
Right.
life. Okay.
But this is incredible. I
Yeah.
wonder if Abimelech like began or believed in God after this.
Well, it says his name is my father, the king. So, we don't know very much here yet about Abimelech. I don't know if there's somewhere later that says more about him, but it's very possible that he did turn to God. He heard his voice. God spoke to him.
Right.
We don't know. Okay, Jerry, do you want to read some more?
Where are we?
Here, chapter 21.
The Lord took note of Sarah as promised, and the Lord did for Sarah what had been announced. Sarah conceived and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, as the set time of which God had spoken. Abraham gave his newborn son, whom Sarah had borne him, the name of Isaac. And when his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him as God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born.
To him.
You have to
So
move
we
it up.
know, so we know that Yitzchak means laughter. That's his name in Hebrew, Yitzchak. And he was born after Abraham was circumcised. Ishmael was born before Abraham was circumcised. So there's a difference. But circumcision was already a practice of the day in many of the cultures. But this was a specific circumcision. His son Isaac was 8 days old, and so he entered the covenant. Okay.
Sarah said, God has brought me to laughter. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would suckle children, yet I have borne a son in his old age? The child grew up and was weaned, and Abraham held a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned.
By the way, I was looking at that and I was wondering, why did it say that he held a feast? And so I looked it up, and it says weaning was celebrated in biblical days as a significant milestone, marking a child's survival, transition to a new stage of life, and God's faithfulness. And then it gives a whole bunch of information about the weaning. So it seems to be a big deal. I think it was maybe between the ages of 2 and 3. I know in the Orthodox community, when a boy, his hair grows, I think at 3 years old, they cut it and they celebrate. There's a whole big thing. I don't know if it's the same thing, but here, this was a practice in those days.
Sarah saw the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham playing. She said to Abraham, cast out that slave woman and her son, for the son of that slave shall not share in the inheritance with my son Isaac.
It seems that word playing had something a little more to do on, I don't know if it had sexual connotation or mocking, but we know it wasn't just simple playing, because why would Sarah be so? I know she was upset with Hagar anyway, but this seemed to be the last straw.
The matter distressed Abraham greatly, for it concerned a son of his. But God said to Abraham, do not be distressed over the boy or your slave. Whatever Sarah tells you, do as she says, for it is through Isaac that offspring shall be continued for you. As for the son of the slave woman, I will make a nation of him too, for he is your seed.
Did you say, Peggy, that Ishmael, before the rite of circumcision and before Abraham had that, the idea that the 8th day, etc., you're saying Ishmael was born before that?
Yes.
Okay.
Abraham hadn't been circumcised yet.
Oh, okay. I didn't,
Yeah.
all right, just
Yeah,
be clear.
we read it just before he was circumcised just before the messengers came where he was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right,
And Ishmael was 13 at that time.
all right,
That's
okay,
why the Arabs circumcised their boys at 13.
right.
Early next morning, Abraham took some bread and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He placed them over her shoulder together with the child and sent her away. And she wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water was gone from the skin, she left the child under one of the bushes and went and sat down at a distance, a bow shot away, for she thought, let me not look on as the child dies. And sitting thus afar, she burst into tears. God heard the cry of the boy, and a messenger of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heeded the cry of the boy where he is. Come, lift up the boy and hold him by the hand, for I will make a great nation of him.
It seems that she was told this before. Remember, Sarah had kicked her out, and the angel told her to come back because I will make you a great nations from him too. So obviously she forgot, when you're in such distress, and in order, it was a practice that that they had to be sent away with nothing in the Middle East at those times. The inheritance could not be shared. So that's why they left with nothing. But it seems pretty awful. And I think they may still be holding that against us.
Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. She went and filled his skin with water and let the boy drink. God was with the boy, and he grew up. He dwelt in the wilderness and became skilled with a bow. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother got a wife for him from the land of Egypt. At that time, Abimelech and Phicol, chief of his troops, said to Abraham, God is with you in everything that you do. Therefore, swear to me here by God that you will not deal falsely with me or with my kith and kin, but will deal with me and with the land in which you have sojourned as loyally as I have dealt with you. And Abraham said, I swear it. Then Abraham approached Abimelech for the well of water.
Reproached.
Then Abraham reproached Abimelech for the well of water which the servants of Abimelech had seized. But Abimelech said, I do not know who did this. You did not tell me, nor have I heard of it until today. Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a pact.
Later on, we're going to see that we were not allowed to make a pact with anyone outside of the Israelites without checking with God first, and certainly not with the neighbors, because they would be a thorn in our side. So it seems that this is before that, because it doesn't seem that Abraham looked to God to see if he should make a pact with Abimelech. So maybe Abimelech was closer. I don't know. This is something we'd have to look at.
Abraham then set 7 ewes of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said to Abraham, what mean these 7 ewes which you have set apart? He replied, you are to accept these 7 ewes from me as proof that I dug this well. Here that place was called Beersheba, for there the two of them swore an oath. When they had concluded the pact at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, chief of his troops, departed and returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham placed a tamarisk.
Sorry, here, Abimelech came from the Philistines. So Abraham had made a pact with him, But the Philistines later became a great enemy, which is why God is going to warn Moses to make sure he writes down that we were not to make pacts with our enemies because they will never keep them. It's amazing how far back our history goes with Beersheba. I have friends who live in Beersheba. You know, the Avner and Rachel live there.
Oh,
Yeah. So when I read all this, I says, wow, they're living in a land, such a historic land.
Abraham placed a tamarisk at Beersheba,
Planted a tamarisk.
planted, and invoked there the name of the Lord, the everlasting God.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a few times when they say, and they invoke the name of the Lord in the past few readings.
Exactly. They called on the name Yud He Vav He, the God of eternity. And Abraham resided in the land of Philistines.
Abraham resided in the land of the Philistines a long time.
I guess we were friends back then. Sometimes afterwards, God put Abraham to the test, saying to him, Abraham. And Abraham answered, Hineni, here I am. Take your son, your favorite one, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as an olah, a burnt offering, on one of the heights that I will point out to you. So early next morning, Abraham saddled his donkey and took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. He split the wood for the burnt offering, and he set out for the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place from afar. Then Abraham said to his servants, You stay here with the donkey. The boy, it says the boy, but he was not, the word was na'ar, he was a lad. He's not a young boy. Some say that he was in his 30s. The boy and I will go up there and we will worship and we will return to you.
We will return to you.
And we will return to you.
No, like the we.
Yes.
Anyway, so
He-
that's already says
Yeah.
he knows that anyway, he was not going to die.
He believed that even if he had to raise him from the dead, he trusted God.
Right.
Abraham took the wood for the offering from the olah and put it on his son Isaac. He took the flintstone, the firestone, and the knife, and the 2 walked off together. That must have been the longest walk. Then Isaac said to his father Abraham, Father, and he answered, Yes, my son. And he said, Here are the firestone and the wood, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, It is God who will provide the sheep for this burnt offering, my son. And the 2 of them walked on together.
This whole passage is what Christianity takes a lot of their belief system from, based on a lot of this.
Yeah, they say that that Jesus was the one who would be sacrificed, but we see that Isaac was not sacrificed. They arrived at the place of which God had told him. Abraham built an altar. Then he laid out the wood. And he bound his son Isaac, and he laid him on the altar on top of the wood. And Abraham picked up the knife to slay his son. Then a messenger of the Lord called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. And he answered, Hineni, here I am. Do not raise your hand against the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear, you trust, you have faith in God, since you have not withheld your favorite, your son. Here it says, your only son. I think it says that, Yechida, Yechida, Decha, your only son. But he wasn't the only son. He was the chosen one from me. And when Abram looked up, his eye fell on a ram. It wasn't a lamb. It wasn't a sheep. It was a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. They would say that Jesus was the lamb, but here it's a ram caught in the thickets, and they say that the crown of thorns represents that.
Well, we need to change the song to Ram of God.
Exactly. So it really is You know, when you take things out of context, Rabbi used to talk about two words, eisegesis and exegesis. And exegesis is where you take something from the scriptures and you give a teaching on it, a drash. Eisegesis is when you take a preconceived idea and you force it into the scriptures, which is a lot of what other religions have done to the Torah. They have forced their understanding about what God is saying, which is why I really believe what we're doing here is so important. We're not experts, we're not scholars, but we're reading what we see. And there's enough for us to understand what God is saying. And we have to leave all our preconceived ideas at the door, all the things that we've heard about it, all from the rabbis and the pastors and the priests. We have to go back to what the Torah actually says, which is what Yeshua wanted us to do. He wanted us to come back to the Torah. So Abraham went and he took the ram. He offered it up us as an olah in place of his son. And Abraham named that place Adonai Yireh, the Lord provides. Whence the present saying, on the mount of the Lord there is vision. What does it say here? Bahar Yud He Vav He Yira'eh. There's vision. We can see. The messenger of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, by myself I swear, the Lord declares, because you have done this, and you have not withheld your only son, the chosen one, I will bestow my blessing upon you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars of heaven and the sands of the sea, and your seashore, and your descendants shall seize the gates of their foes. Oh, that day is coming. And all the nations of the earth shall bless themselves by your descendants, because you have obeyed my commands. If we could just understand that, and in our own lives, obey God's commandments, the earth will be blessed by the things that we do because of Abraham, the promise of God, not because of us. Abraham then returned to his servants, and they departed together for Beersheba. And Abraham stayed in Beersheba. He was probably terrified to go back because Sarah would kill him. Sometime later, Abraham was told, Milcah too has borne sons to your brother Nahor, Uz, the firstborn, and Buz, his brother, and Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Chesed, Azo, Pildash, Gidlaph, and Betuel. Betuel being the father of Rivka, Rebecca. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. And we're going to read coming up the things about Rebecca. And his concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore sons, Teba, Gaham, Tachash, and a daughter, Makkah. So this is Abraham's brother who also had a concubine. So what a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful parasha. I love it. I love reading this. How many years have we been reading it? And we also always see something a little new, something we haven't seen before, and how we can apply it to our lives. Just beautiful.
Yeah.
Any last words before we say good night? Yes, and I'm going to be speaking a little more on other things that I didn't speak about tonight on Shabbat, because I'm bringing the message. So I'm looking forward to hearing what I have to say. All right. I wish you all the best, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Keep looking up. Don't get discouraged. Lift up your eyes, because just keep your eyes on God. Don't look at
Thank
what's
you.
going on in the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless you.
God
Bye.
bless you.